sun sign is considered to be the core essence of a person's identity in astrology because it is linked to the sun's position in the sky at the time of your birth. The sun, in both astrology and astronomy, is the central force of the solar system, and in a symbolic sense, it represents the core of who you are. This fundamental role explains why the sun sign is associated with key aspects of a person's identity, nature, and life purpose. Here's why this is so. The sun represents vitality and life force. In astrology, the sun symbolizes life force, vitality, and the principle of self expression. Just as the sun provides warmth, light, and energy to sustain life on Earth, it represents the energy that sustains and drives a person's individual essence. Without the sun, there would be no life. And without the sun sign, there would be no core expression of self in the astrological chart. The sun governs the ego, the identity you project to the world, and the way you approach the world. It reflects your creative energy, your motivations, and the unique qualities that set you apart from others. The sun is the central influence in your chart. In the same way the sun is the central body in our solar system, in astrology it serves as the core from which all other influences, such as the moon, planets, and housing, right, from which they emanate. These other aspects of your birth chart are all influenced by or revolve around the sun sign, making it the most prominent, significant point in your chart. While other planets govern different aspects of your personality, like the moon represents emotions, Venus represents love, the sun encapsulates the fundamental, essential part of your identity. Everything in your chart can be seen as complementary to or expanding upon the energy of the sun. The sun represents life purpose. The sun's energy reflects the purpose you are meant to work on in this lifetime. It is your driving force, the place where you seek fulfillment and self-expression. The sun sign often represents your soul's intended journey and what you are here to learn, express, and master. When you align with the sun's energy in your chart, you align with your deeper purpose. It's often said that by consciously embodying the qualities of your sun sign, you come closer to fulfilling your higher potential and your understanding of your role in the world. This makes the sun sign a powerful guide to self-discovery and life direction. The sun is ego and a sense of self. The sun is closely associated with your sense of ego and individuality. It governs how you assert yourself in the world and the image you project to others. It represents your personal expression and how you shine, the qualities you want to show to others, and how to assert your presence. The ego associated with the sun is not inherently negative. It is simply the part of you that defines and shapes your identity. The sun represents your conscious self as opposed to the unconscious, which drives other planetary placements like the moon or Pluto and what they might represent. It's the I am energy in your chart, the part of you that is always growing into a more refined version of who you truly are. The sun sign is personal growth and self-actualization. The sun is often seen as a symbol of personal growth and the quest for self-actualization. It represents the potential that you are meant to develop and bring into the world. The journey of life is often viewed in astrology as one of learning to express the highest qualities of your sun sign. This means that over time, you are working to embody the energy of your sun sign more fully. And for example, if your sun is in Leo, you're meant to develop leadership, confidence, and creativity. If it's in Virgo, the goal may be self-improvement, service to others with a focus on precision and organization. The sun's energy is about mastering the traits associated with your sign to elevate your life experience and your connection to your truest self. Consistency and stability in the self. While the moon, Mercury, Venus, and other planets may shift or move through different signs, the sun stays in one sign for a month. This means your sun sign represents a stable core energy that shapes the way you engage with the world throughout your life. It's the constant foundation upon which other layers of your personality can be built. The sun is a symbol of your essential self, even if you change or grow over time. As you evolve, the expression of your sun sign might deepen or shift, but it still remains the constant core of who you are, symbolizing the divine spark of individuality. On a spiritual level, the sun represents the divine spark or essence of creation that is in each of us. It's often seen as a symbol of the soul's journey through physical existence, manifesting the unique imprint of each person's spirit given to you by God. This ties into the idea that the sun sign is your soul's mission or purpose in this lifetime. It signifies the energy that the soul is here to express, refine, and embody in the world. Your sun sign is, in essence, your soul's blueprint for how you will work through this incarnation. Thinking about this matrix standpoint, the sun holds significance in astrology because it represents the fundamental essence of who you are, your identity, your purpose, and the qualities you are meant to develop throughout your life. To win at the matrix, you need to look at the insight into your deepest motivations and natural energy you are meant to express. The sun is the central force of your astrological chart, just as it is the central force of the solar system, which is why it serves as the foundation of your personal journey and soul growth. So if you want to master breaking out of the matrix, learn your sun sign. I'm one of those people who submitted my DNA to Ancestry.com for testing my genetics and my heritage. And there's a part on the website called traits. I looked at this section, and as of the date of this video, it indicates they're able to identify 80 traits that I possess. One of those traits tests whether a person has a tendency to be introverted or extroverted. Ancestry says the following in this section. We compared your DNA to the DNA of more than 185,000 people who answered a question about whether they're more introverted or extroverted. So now that 185,000 is a sample of the general population. And I'm going to throw out some statistics lingo out here for a minute. I taught statistics in college from 2014 to 2018, roughly at Miami-Dade College, which is a very large series of college campuses in the Miami area. The statistics correlation is any statistical relationship, whether causal or not, between two random variables or bivariate data. Now, hearing that, whoa, that sounds like a terrible explanation for what correlation is. It sounds too stilted, too technical, and I had class sizes of people from as small as 40 students, sometimes as much as 40 students, right? So if I got up in front of the class and gave a definition without a further explanation, I'd probably lose the class. Some of these folks don't even speak English well. So here's how we say it. Correlation is a mutual relationship or connection between two or more things. I'll give you an example. Variable 1 is ice cream sales. Variable 2 is the temperature outside. If it's a hot summer day, then variable 2 is what? It's going up because people will buy more ice cream to cool off because it's getting hotter. So as variable 2 goes up, variable 1 goes up. Now what happens in the dead of winter? That means variable 2 is going down because it's getting colder, the temperature is lowering. So people are less likely to buy ice cream, which is variable 1, because they are already freezing. So as variable 2 goes down, variable 1 goes down. That's a correlation. The variables move together, whether they go up or down. So what you have here, ladies and gentlemen, is a correlation between ice cream sales and the temperature outside. So what Ancestry is doing here is they are sending surveys to people. Scientists have done research already and found that genes BDNF, CAH13, and CDH23 are connected to people that tend to be extroverts. So Ancestry is looking at the expression of those genes and the responses of people to their surveys. Based on them measuring a sample of 185,000 people, they found those genes to also be expressed in people who are answering that they're extroverted, a correlation. This correlates with my sun sign. I'm a Gemini. Gemini tend to be extroverted communicators, celebrities, and politicians. So the result for me says that my genes show that I fall in the category of people who tend to be extroverted. But here is the strange part. Up to 3 years ago, if you asked me what I was, I'd probably tell you I was an introvert. So here I am. The sun sign says I'm supposed to be a communicator and a people person, an extrovert. The DNA says I'm supposed to be an extrovert. So what went wrong? Well, you've heard of the debate of nature versus nurture. Nature means genetic, nurture means environment. As between the two, this is not a zero-sum game, and no one factor emerges as the all-monopolizing winner. The truth is, it is a mixture of both. For me, my mother and father were the problem. God rest their souls, I love them both dearly. My mother passed when I was 15, my father passed when I was 45. But they had some pretty messed up views on how I was supposed to be, and that impacted who I grew up as a child and then an adult. Both were immigrants. My father was born during the Great Depression time. My mother was probably born about a decade after that. They're both from the same generation. What generation are they called? The silent generation. The silent generation is a demographic cohort of people born between 1928 and 1945. The silent generation is known for being thrifty, respectful, and traditional. They're also known for being conformist, civic, and for sticking to societal norms. The silent generation came of age in a time of austerity, when children were expected to be seen and not heard. The term silent generation was the first to be used in a 1951 Time magazine essay to describe the generation's collective cautiousness and passivity. So who was I as a child initially? And when I say initially, I'm talking about maybe kindergarten, first grade, second grade. Well, firstly, I loved to fight. During recess and after school, I would hang out in the schoolyard, and if people challenged me to a fight, I would fight back. And I loved it. I had the heart of a warrior. In my mind, I didn't lose a fight until I was either knocked out. So no matter how much I was hit, kicked, or whatever, I would keep fighting to the bitter end until either I knocked my opponents down or I got them to surrender or give up. Now back to my father. He was strong, he was scary, and he was an angry man during those times. He would take out his belt and lash me sometimes 25 to 50 times. I came away with bruises, swelling, and inflammation. First red, then black and blue. I was more scared of my father than any of these playground kids, and he beat me into submission because he did not want me to fight. He told me to stop fighting. This created a bad scenario for me. Back then, I thought my dad was all-seeing and all-knowing. Some way, somehow, if I did things that disobeyed him, he would find out. Neighbors would tell him they saw me doing XYZ. Sometimes he would follow me without me seeing him. He would spy on me from the windows of the house. When I got back from doing something bad, a brutal beatdown was waiting for me at home. I couldn't hold out against him, no matter how hard I tried. I remember one time he chased me into the bathroom. Now the bathroom door was incapable of being locked, so the best I could do was jam my little body up against the door and hope to hold out. I probably lasted about 10 to 20 seconds tops against him, and that was amped up with adrenaline, trying to avoid a beating. Eventually, I had to give in, and so because of his beatings, I stopped fighting. So the neighborhood kids began to pick up on the fact that I would never fight back. They started beating me up after school. They robbed me when I was going around selling chocolates, the ones the schools give you. They joked about it. Sometimes the only way I would get through things is if I had loyal friends beside me. They scared the bullies off. They couldn't be there 24/7. And so that's when the bullies would pounce on me and beat the crap out of me. I hated it. I screamed, I cried, and what happened? My parents did nothing. They didn't go looking for the kids. They didn't go confront their parents. They just didn't do anything. They left me vulnerable and unprotected, with no solutions. And that was childhood trauma. The world became a very scary place because I needed to find a way to shrink myself down to avoid being noticed. I wanted to avoid pain and cruelty. I wanted to hide away from the world. In the world of options, my Hobson's choice was clear. I had to play the role of the coward and run away, and I hated it. My inner sense of security about myself was destroyed. Research suggests that children and youth who are bullied over time are more likely than those not bullied to experience depression, anxiety, and low self-esteem. They're also more likely to be lonely and want to avoid people, school, and the like. My childhood friends, it's hard to explain. I had a childhood friend once who was actually killed. He was scared of gang. He couldn't tell his mother about it. He tried to avoid going to school. His mother sent him anyway. So the gang ambushed him. They cut his ear from throat to throat, slashed his neck. He died on the sidewalk. He was murdered. I saw it in the newspaper and showed my parents, who were horrified. And we called his family to find out what it all was. This is what I'm getting as a very, very young child, as a view of the world. My parents also beat conversation out of me as well, because all I wanted to do was talk and hang out. I paid less attention to my studies. I was more about passing notes in class. I was joking. I was reading comic books. I was having a good old time while the teachers are trying to teach the lessons. They punished me day after day. They were upset. So they sent note after note home. I got detention. I got referrals. And so my mom and dad put a quick end to that. How? You guessed it. They beat the crap out of me. More childhood trauma. Eventually I became a nerd, a geek, a great student. I became that straight A student that my parents loved, and I was quiet. I didn't fight back. I was silent, not seen, not heard. I even managed to land myself a spot in one of the top high schools in the country, Regis High School, which, of course, Regis Philbin is named after because his father wanted him to go to the school so much. The late Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia also wanted to go badly to the school, but he failed the test and could not get in. So instead of ending up at my high school, he ended up at the rival school, Xavier High School. So, yes, on paper I sound great, but I'm socially inept. I can barely hold a conversation. I'm introverted. I'm reclusive. I'm up in my room all day on a computer. One of my half-brothers confronted my dad about it one day. Now, keep in mind, I'm like 16 or 17. He's in his 20s. He's married. And he told my dad, you can't keep him locked up in a room like an animal. He needs to have friends. He needs to go out. He needs to socialize. What kind of life do you think he's going to have if you leave him socially inept and unable to do anything? My father told my half-brother, mind your damn business. Get out of my house. And that was it. And that was my father. To top it off, my dad wanted me to be a lawyer. Now think about that for a second. Lawyers are gladiators of the word when it comes to speaking and writing. Lawyers argue and fight over legal issues. So if you wanted a son like that, why would you raise your son to be the opposite? Probably because my dad did not really understand what it was. He knew it was prestigious, he knew it was a status symbol, he wanted to be able to brag and say he had a lawyer's son. But just because your parents want something doesn't mean they understand it. Good parents will go out and do the research and figure out what's about. He did not. In fact, when I came home with a degree in political science out of college, he went and called my sister and complained that I'd gotten a meaningless degree. Now, if you know anything about law school, you know that 30 to 40% of people going to law school have a political science degree. It's the one that is most likely to be picked in the pre-law program. He didn't do a lick of research to figure it out. He didn't understand that most people usually made the connection between political science and law. He deemed me a failure when I graduated from college. He abandoned me. And so what's the point of the story? The point of the story is my parents created a depressed child who they expected to be quiet, to be docile, but then become a lawyer who's aggressive, fighting, and able to communicate. And I'm a Gemini. Geminis are supposed to be talkative figures, communicators. John F. Kennedy, Donald Trump, George H.W. Bush, Marco Rubio, Mike Pence, Rudy Giuliani, Henry Kissinger, Martha Washington, Barbara Bush, right? What about others? Lenny Kravitz, Paul McCartney, Lauryn Hill, Alanis Morissette, Kanye West, Blake Shelton, Bob Dylan, Lana Del Rey, Tupac Shakur, Paula Abdul, Johnny Depp, Mark Wahlberg, Fetty Wap, and Stevie Nicks. So as you can see, they're either lawyers, they're politicians, they're actors, they're musicians. They live a life of expression, communication, and how to put out messages that resonate with others. So yes, I eventually become a lawyer, a profession that I never wanted to be, but here I am. Right? I'm a child trying to win over a parent's love. Even though I'm an introvert, one made by them, right? And I can do most well. I can do legal research, legal writing well, but trials, oral arguments, things like that, not so much. Although in fairness, first year law school, I won my moot court competition, which is a super rare thing that only happens to the best of the best. Moot court is a tournament of teams, where teams battle each other, eliminate each other until one team wins first place. I did that in my first year of law school. And so you can see that there is a spark of the universe letting me know that this is the direction I need to go in. I need to become that competitive spirit. I need to learn how to give oral arguments and communicate to people. But for me, being the introvert, I wanted to take a quiet behind-the-scenes job. And the universe engineered event after event to force me to do the opposite. The universe wanted me front and center, presenting and talking to people. I fought this tooth and nail until about 2 years ago. Because what I realized was I kept doing the exact opposite of what my sun sign demanded that I do. If life is a lesson, I was getting a big F. Because the universe was saying that I needed to do what I came here to do. The universe kept trying to remind me of the contract I signed up for, which is my sun sign. I spent the past 2 years deprogramming everything my parents taught me. My parents meant well, but the attitude of a silent generation did not work with me. I was a Generation Xer. Those attitudes, those skills worked out probably some decades ago for the silent generation, but they don't work for me, a Gen Xer, in the current environment. So I became a child again 2 years ago, and I raised myself up the right way. I learned to love being a lawyer. I learned to love being a communicator. I learned to love fighting back, especially in spiritual warfare. And so no one will ever steal my path from me. I know what I have to do. I filed for political office. I was in a 3-man race, the worst race out there at the time in my county. I eliminated one of my opponents in August. In November 2024, I beat my race, beating the final opponent. I won by about 60,000 votes. Out of maybe about 678,000 votes, I had about 368,000 votes, which is 54.4% of the votes. I heard God clearly. I saw the message. I began to master my identity and realized what my soul purpose was. I worked on the core traits. I elevated myself in it. I learned to express and refine who I was supposed to become. And so the universe rewarded me back in turn. That's because when you stop fighting and you start understanding, the universe will start to work for you. On the campaign trail, I had to walk into public events, not knowing a soul. I had to walk into churches, not knowing a soul. I talked to the church staff, deacons, administrators, congregations, politicians. I pitched myself and I'm asking for support. In so doing, God replied, "Yes, my child, you are finally getting it. Here is your reward." And so here I am. This YouTube channel was also part of that 2-year path of learning who I am. If you notice, I rarely care about boosting numbers. There's some who buy subscribers, pretend they're some big channel with thousands of supporters, but really they're not. I barely have cracked up to this point about 1,000 subscribers. My videos sometimes get 2 likes, 4 likes, 10 likes. This wasn't about me becoming a social media influencer. I'm not here to make money off of this. Even if a single person listens to me and likes this video, I will keep producing content. Because God asked me to. Because God wants me to be my purpose. My purpose is to teach, communicate, explain, and so forth. I need to be out there. And so think of the sun sign as your sole purpose and identity. Your core energy is that the sun sign reflects the core essence of who you are at your deepest level. It symbolizes your essential self, your identity, and the way you express your individuality. It represents what you naturally resonate with, the innate potential that you bring into this life. So the sun sign is your soul's blueprint. In astrology, it's often said that the sun sign represents your soul's purpose for this lifetime. It's what you're meant to focus on, develop, and refine. Just as the sun in the sky, the sign illuminates your path and is the center around which other aspects of your life, like the moon and rising signs, revolve. It shows where you're meant to shine and where you're meant to express yourself. As you can see, my life got better when I became a better lawyer and ultimately a politician that won hundreds of thousands of votes. So what does your soul know? The sun sign can be thought of as the energy your soul is meant to be familiar with. It means that when it comes naturally to you, it happens on a fundamental level. But like anything in life, it doesn't mean you fully embody or express it from the moment you're born. It takes time to grow in it. In fact, the number of degrees you have in it may show the level of skill you came in with, but that you need to improve on. It represents qualities that you're learning to embrace and express in this lifetime. So if you're a Leo, your soul knows how to create warmth, creativity, and leadership. But in this lifetime, you're meant to refine that even further. Improve those qualities and move beyond any challenges or imbalances you might have. So in essence, your sun sign shows the kind of energy you're here to refine and master. You have to constantly work on the traits of the sun sign. That means you work on building strength. Throughout your life, you're meant to face challenges and experiences that push you to grow into the qualities that your sign demands. Your sun sign, that is. These challenges help you to move past the initial, more unconscious expressions of your sign, which may come with limitations or imbalances, because you're still learning. You still have to become better at it. Practice makes perfect. The work is in refining those traits and cultivating them in a healthy, empowered way, which is not what was happening during my childhood, but we see is now happening during my later years in life. So, for example, a Virgo, your natural skills include attention to detail, organization, the desire to help others, but these may need to be balanced by developing compassion for yourself and accepting that not everything can be perfect. In other words, Virgos are perfectionists, but sometimes you need to let go of perfection. Conscious evolution. While your sun sign represents an innate part of you, it also requires active work to fully embody it. For example, if you're a Sagittarius, your natural tendency may be to seek freedom and adventure, but as you mature, you may need to channel that energy into a deeper understanding of philosophy or meaningful purpose, rather than simply seeking novelty. In other words, you have to do a lot of deep temperance, a lot of deep balancing, a lot of deep reflection. Elevating knowledge and skill through the sun sign. You're going through the mastery of the sign's traits. Your sun sign is about becoming the highest expression of your energy. It's about taking the inherent qualities of that sign and refining them so they serve a higher purpose in your life and in the lives of others. As you evolve, you begin to live the most empowered version of your sun sign's traits, which allows you to fulfill your soul's mission in this lifetime. Manifestation of your true self. By working on your sun sign's energy, you learn to trust your authentic self and begin to act in alignment with your deeper nature. The more you cultivate the strengths of your sun sign, the more you feel fulfilled, confident, and aligned with your purpose. This journey of growth can lead to a more self-empowered self and a stronger connection to your soul's calling. Here's a breakdown of some examples. Aries, the pioneer. Aries is known for its leadership, courage, and action-oriented nature. The soul's lesson for an Aries is to move past the impulsiveness or the self-centered tendencies of an Aries and develop patience, strategic thinking, and an awareness of others. The journey involves learning to lead with integrity without burning bridges, because Aries can get very hot-headed. Taurus, the builder. The Taurus is about stability, material abundance, and sensual pleasure. The soul's purpose might involve learning to let go of attachment to possessions or comfort and embracing the flexibility required for spiritual growth. Taurus teaches the value of patience and determination. The Gemini, the communicator. Gemini's natural curiosity, communication skills, and adaptability need to be nurtured to avoid superficiality or inconsistency. The soul's path involves learning to communicate with depth and consistency and focusing on clarity in your thought and action. Ultimately, the sun sign offers a map of what you are meant to express and refine in this lifetime. I just gave you a sample of examples, but that's not the be-all, end-all. You need to go read about the other signs to see what their sun sign soul purpose might be. You want to work consciously with those traits, and you want to elevate yourself to become the fullest version of who you're meant to be. Through this process, your soul can grow and evolve, aligning with your deeper purpose. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you're new here, this is a safe space. If you are returning, I love and appreciate you so much. I'm glad that you're back. In the name of the Most High God, I wish you health, wealth, prosperity, and abundance, blessings and protection. Take care. Have a great day.